Basketball has had such a big impact on my life. Through crazy wins, devastating losses, and tough injuries, basketball has shaped the way I will live the rest of my life. I started playing basketball when I was only in third grade, and have played every year of my life since, while my love for the game only grows and grows. Throughout high school, basketball had become more important in my life and ultimately brought me to the major I am studying at the University of Rhode Island, kinesiology. I grew up and went to school in a small town called Bridgehampton on the southeast fork of Long Island. As an athlete, suffering injuries is one of the most disheartening events that can happen. Being limited by your body when you so badly want to be back in the game is one of the toughest things to overcome. Sitting on the sideline helplessly as you watch your teammates fight for a win eats away at you from the inside out. This feeling of being restricted by your body is one of the very reasons why I chose to go into the path I took, kinesiology. With any contact related sport, the chances of injury are relatively high. I'd attained several smaller injuries throughout my basketball career, but I had two hindering injuries that ultimately led me to the career path I am now following in college. The two injuries I suffered was a stress fracture of my right tibia at the end of my sophomore year, and spraining my left ankle at the beginning of my senior year. At the end of my sophomore year, nearing the end of the season, I had started feeling my knee and lower leg starting to become sore and achy. We had 3 more games until playoffs, and we had to win all 3 to be able to compete and potentially move on. The third to last game, we were on our home court, and our court is very small, so there is not much shoulder room on either side. We were entering crunch time, and the score was tied up. There was a wild pass thrown to me. It was a little bit ahead of me, but I knew if I got a hand to it, I would be able to save it and keep the fast break alive. In doing this, I was running towards the sideline bleachers and ended up hitting right below my knee on the wooden seat of the bleacher. Initially, I was in pain, but I pushed through because I knew the team needed me and we needed to get the win to keep our playoff dreams alive. My team and I ended up squeezing out a win, hoping to keep that trend going on as we got closer to the playoff. The next day was when I could tell something wasn't right. Below my knee was swollen to the size of a baseball. It hurt to bend my leg and the swelling was making it very stiff. My parents took me to the orthopedic where I was told I had stress fractured my tibia. I was told this happens after prolonged running and jumping that can put major stress on your leg and cause a small stress fracture to occur. If not properly treated, it could lead to increased pain and damage. Knowing I had this injury, I knew I was done for the rest of the season. I had to wear a knee brace and walk on crutches for 4 to 6 weeks. It was really tough to have to sit on the sidelines and watch as my teammates fought to get to the playoffs. It was a tough road, but ultimately we lost 1 game, meaning we were unable to make the playoffs. After I had the knee brace on for quite some time, I was able to take it off and just use a simple wrap, but I now had to go to physical therapy. This was an entirely new experience for me. I was a little scared, but also excited to see what it was all about. Soon enough, I was in the physical therapist's office a few times a week to start and gradually got less and less frequent as they taught me how to ice, wrap, strengthen, and stretch my knee, hip, and leg on my own at home. Overall, my experience with my therapist was a very positive experience. Meeting with the same person on a consistent basis, growing a friendship and bond because you know that you are both wanting the same thing. We were working together to improve, fully heal, and return my body to its original condition. I enjoyed going and was sad when it inevitably ended. After being exposed to that environment and taking everything I had learned about it, I was intrigued as to whether or not I could see myself filling that position future on in my life. Being able to help someone return to their normal physical capacity was something I could eventually see myself doing. In my sophomore year, I had worked hard to get back into physical shape that I was before my injury, readying myself for the season ahead of me. My junior year season was like no other. It was the most jam-packed and action-filled with many tough teams and the dream to go upstate. Although I did not suffer a serious injury my junior year, I had taken everything I had learned from PT and applied it to my physical shape and fitness in hopes to avoid another injury. Senior year was upon me and my whole team was anxious to get off to a good start in the season. Unfortunately, this is when I suffered my second serious injury. One day at practice, only a few days before the season started, our coach had called in older guys who either he knew or were past alumni. We were nearing the end of practice, just finishing up a 5-on-5 scrimmage when I drove to the basket to put up a floater, only to land on my left foot on top of another guy's foot, suffering an eversion ankle sprain. Right as I went down, I knew exactly what had happened to my ankle, as I had seen it happen to people in the past, whether right in front of me or in an NBA game. At the first, the pain was excruciating. I was hesitant to run on at first, but I still tried to walk it off and keep playing. I was just hoping it wasn't going to be as serious as it could be. I tied my shoe tighter and continued on, but as I went on, the pain grew exponentially until it was unbearable. I went home that night using all the information I had learned from being at PT, along with everything they had taught me about icing and keeping it elevated. The next day I was barely able to walk, as applying any type of weight resulted in an unbelievable amount of pain. My ankle had doubled in size and it even started to show bruising at the bottom of my foot. That was when my parents took me to see the doctor to make sure that I had not suffered something worse like a fracture or a break. The doctor told me that he was shocked it wasn't broken, but that it was a severe sprain and that I would be out anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks depending on how it healed. This came as a big hit for me as I was so eager to start my senior year off strong on hopes to get back upstate. I soon went back to the physical therapist for help on what to do once my ankle started to feel better and what I could do to help shorten my recovery period. They gave me the most information they could, but warning me that after this sprain, I would have to be cautious as it will be easy for this injury to occur again. After my recovery and attempts to strengthen my ankle back to normal, I got back into the season about halfway through. This still gave us the time to win the amount of games we needed in order to have a spot in the playoffs. Unfortunately, we were stopped short only one step away from going back upstate to try and achieve our goal of repeating the state championship. Although the fact that we were stopped short and I was deprived of nearly half of my senior year, the ending was very bittersweet. For a long time, I had been contemplating what my next plan was after high school. I was unsure what career direction I wanted to take and was overwhelmed with all the options I was told by my guidance counselor. Until one day, I had remembered all the fond memories of going to physical therapy. I thought of how kind they were, how they actually cared that I made improvements, trying to get me back to full health as soon as possible. I also thought of how they helped me return to my normal level of play, even after the injuries I had suffered. The way that they helped me inspired me to want to be able to help injured athletes and people return to their normal lives and abilities. Giving someone their mobility and even self-confidence back was something I wanted to do for people when I was older. To think I would not have had the same experiences had I not gotten injured very much put into perspective just how basketball and all the outcomes I had experienced had it affected my life up to this point.